Welcome to another episode of Talking Nerdy in the Bedroom with KJ.
And Mike.
Yeah, no Corey. Fuck that guy.
Again.
Well, I mean, you were not here 2 weeks ago.
You told me not to be here.
No, that was last week. 2 weeks ago, you had to work late.
Oh, I know. Heavens forbid I have to provide and support for my family.
Yeah, screw those people. They're not in the podcast.
I mean, that's fair.
All right, so we were going to, yet again, do The Last of Us, but with Corey not being here.
The Last of Us will be The Last of Us.
Yes,
it's going to be the end of us.
We're just going to keep pushing. It's going to become a running joke where we just keep pushing.
It'll be the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But, so we were going to do The Last of Us. Now we're not going to do The Last of Us. Hopefully we cover The Last of Us.
Surprise, bitches! Different subject.
Yeah. So Mike and I were talking, and we thought it'd be fun to kind of do an idea about movies that have been rebooted that shouldn't have been rebooted, movies that should be rebooted, movies that should never ever be touched to be rebooted. Wasn't there a fourth one?
No, I think it's just, I think you get 3 categories.
Is it 3?
Boot, don't boot, and should boot.
And what about ones that were booted that were good?
Happy boot.
Happy boot? Happy boot.
I don't.
All right. So
yay, boot.
So we're gonna be talking about them, and the first one that we're gonna start with, at least that I feel like we should, is movies that should not be booted, like ever, like the
shouldn't.
Like the holy grail of movies that do not fucking touch these type of movies. Like, for me, The Princess Bride, Matrix, Shawshank Redemption.
So, you say Matrix, I feel...
I'll murder you. That is literally my favorite movie of all time.
Right, but so they don't reboot those movies, they just continue.
A sequel or they've been doing a bunch of reboot sequels. So where it's like a reboot where they introduce new characters, but it's also a continuation of the story. They might be able to do that, and it could be okay. And to be fair, I didn't like the sequels anyway. Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolution.
What about the new one that just came out?
It's bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But see, so that was a sequel, not a reboot. Reboot would be like all new characters and them kind of doing almost the exact same story, maybe a little bit tweaked. But yeah, that movie was bad, and I was super excited for it because it was a lot of the main cast back, and it just...
Yeah, I had a big hype for it, but it was like one of those, like, straight to HBO movies?
Well, a lot of things did during the pandemic, so I don't blame that. Like, HBO had that deal with basically, like, Warner Brothers and everything to have those movies come...
No one's coming to the movie theaters, so just pay us and we'll stream it.
Yeah, and it did increase some of their subscriber count, but not to the level of what you would make in a movie theater.
Right.
But there were also some good movies that came out during, like Suicide Squad, the newer one came out.
Which was a reboot.
Yeah, like I consider it a reboot because that original one was so bad. And they also had characters in there that basically died that came back.
Right.
So yes, it's like that was a reboot, but that was good. Dune was on there, which I didn't really care for, but a lot of people loved Dune. I think you did, didn't you?
I like Dune.
Yeah, it was just very slow and very whatever.
Have you seen the original Dunes?
I have not.
Okay, so in comparison, the original Dunes are very good, like scripturally, I guess is a good word to put it. But because they were made so long ago, visually, I don't think they could really keep up to par as what you could now. But it followed the storyline pretty well, and it was like really visually appealing. It's just Dune is a very like slow, meandering story.
Yeah.
Like Dune and Child of Dune. I think they're like 3.5 hour movies or something.
Well, I
they're
feel like
series.
I would need to watch, like, because there's part 2 comes out later this year or next year or something like that.
I don't know, but I hope so.
I think it's
can't wait.
But like I'll watch it probably, but I might want to watch them back to back.
Like we really haven't even
entire story.
We haven't even gotten into like why spice is so important.
I don't know if they're going to cover that. Maybe they're going to be dealing with the other
that's
random
like
shit that happens.
the main part of the story.
Yeah,
The spice melange.
But like anyway, HBO had the deal to come out with that, so I don't really fault them for that movie coming out on HBO. Like everything was during the pandemic. But anyway, Matrix is a movie for me that should not be rebooted. Like it just absolutely should not be rebooted. Like
although there is Okay, it's called Reloaded, though.
Reloaded, yeah.
Yeah, it can't be rebooted, but we can reload that shit.
But those are the same characters, and it's a continuation of the story. That first movie is so damn perfect and literally changed filmography forever. Everybody started copying their style and trying to get more meta with a lot of their stories, and The Matrix really brought that to the forefront. And for me, it was that movie during my childhood. I literally watched over and over and over and over and over. I just loved it.
All right, I got a movie that I think should be and is in the works to be rebooted.
Well, pause on that.
Can't. So
Do you
excited.
have a movie that shouldn't be rebooted? Should be left alone? Like a movie like Back to the Future.
Yeah, so I was gonna say Back to the Future.
Leave
that's
it
on
the
my
fuck
list.
alone.
Yeah, no, never reboot that.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah,
There are
it's a good
certain
movie.
movies that just don't. Why mess with perfection when a movie is basically perfect? Now, sure, there are some script issues in that with continuity and things like that you could possibly maybe fix, but why? Right,
because we already know that the future at October 15th, 2015 is going to be much different than we thought.
That's very accurate.
You don't put the pizza in the microwave and it becomes a large pizza.
Yeah, it's 100%
Or
true.
the zip up Nikes, even though I think Nike actually for a gimmick tried to make shoes that lace themselves.
They did. I think they just even a year or two ago released another version of it too.
Yeah.
For the
Self-lacing,
anniversary of the movie or something.
Well, because I think they go to the future, and one is 2015, the other one is 2023.
In the sequel, it's 2023, right?
I don't want something like that.
Trilogy? I believe. I don't remember.
But I believe either it's coming up quickly or all of the future is now in the past.
Yeah, I think all the future is now in the past. I feel like we've hit everything.
I think Blade Runner is the next one coming up. I think it's 2047.
Yeah. And even that was, But again, that was a continuation, not a reboot. It was a soft reboot because it's also a continuation.
Yep.
But so I have Remember the Titans, which is one of my favorite football movies that I talked about on a solo podcast.
I could forget the Titans.
How dare you, sir?
I think I've seen the movie. I don't know if I care to remember
Terminator 1 and 2. Leave it the fuck alone. They're perfect.
Again, that's a story that they got the story right. So now it's always just continuations or because he came out with Terminator Judgment Day. And then what's the newest Terminator Salvation?
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with the original stuff.
They're
but
all
it's all
bad.
in the future.
Those are sequels, but
I like Salvation. I thought it was good.
It's all bad. After the second one, I don't believe there's been a good Terminator movie. And even the TV series was okay. The Chronicles of Sarah Connor, but But again, those are sequels. If they want to keep doing them, whatever, I won't watch them, but have at it. But you don't need to mess with the originals. Especially Terminator 2, which somehow outshined the first one because it was very good. But movie like Breakfast Club shouldn't be touched. It's just great. Galaxy Quest, Gladiator. Obviously, I mentioned Shawshank and Princess Bride. Those are movies for me, just why? I know they're doing a Gladiator 2, which is fine. It's a sequel. Just don't reboot it. There are certain movies you just shouldn't need to keep redoing because you've run out of ideas and you know that this movie will sell some tickets because people have fond memories of the original.
Right.
There are a ton of movies out there that suck, and there's a ton of original ideas out there. Make the movies off those. Don't... Just because something made $1 billion doesn't mean in 20 years, hey, let's redo it so we can make another $1 billion. I get the mindset behind it, but it pisses me off.
I feel good movies to reboot are either cinematic or animated movies that could be made better live action, or a cooler way to do the same story in live action, or movies that in their time they couldn't make good enough because of the limitations of technology.
See, you say that, but you look at Star Wars when that came out. They were very limited with technology compared to today's, and it's still great.
Right.
You shouldn't need technology to make a movie great. You should be able to make a great movie and figure out ways that it's still going to hold up given the time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, for starters, one would be like animated movies. Like, Disney has started to do that a lot with movies.
Started? That's all they've been doing the last like 5 or 7 years.
Well, yeah, that's what they're swapping over everything to live action, which a lot of them.
Some of them are great. Some of them are. Jungle Book was really good. That's on my list that I have about saying movies that got rebooted. That's actually pretty good. Because that's Jon Favreau that did it. It's really well done. The Lion King was meh.
All right, so let's go on to movies that need to be rebooted.
Need to be. Okay, what do you got for me?
Spawn.
It's on my list as well.
It's
Yeah, but it's been in development for like 30 years.
No, I think the most recent one was like last year. They had it greenlit already.
Greenlit, I agree. But if you go back to like, I think it's even 5 years after the original, they were talking about rebooting it. And they were talking about sequels. And they were talking about a bunch of other things. And people that were attached to be in the movie. And then things kept falling through. And then it kept getting put on the shelf. And then it just kept like being in like a limbo. So if they do it, I'm on board. I love the original one though. Like,
right, I do like the original one a lot. But again, I feel like it's another one of those movies that cinematically could look way better. Like when Spawn is in hell, or when the clown is in hell, and like the demons are just awkward and weird just because of like CGI back in the day.
I think it still holds up though, like because of the story. Maybe it's just because of liking Spawn.
The story will always hold up. It's another one of those movies that like ages well.
Yep.
Because
it ages well for us. Let's say that, because that movie was a critical failure.
Ages well. The story ages well. Because like there's nothing really to like pin it to a timeline or pin it to something that like becomes not really cliche over time, but like kind of fades over time.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of like
it's a story that will always be there.
Right.
Like no matter the time period, someone can relate to this.
Right. Guy is a semi-assassin or whatever. Goes to hell,
I relate
comes
to
back.
that every day.
I would say it's relatable to like the regular person, but people can watch the movie and understand it. It's like straightforward.
All right. So what other one do you have?
Atlantis.
I don't think I saw Atlantis.
It is a
You're not talking about the cartoon animated.
Yeah, animated Atlantis.
Okay, maybe I do know what you're talking about then.
It's got the guy with like blonde hair and glasses. It's all drawn and they like go explore. They're on like a ship.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
It's like the
I wouldn't even thought of that.
Animated animated movie.
Disney?
Animated Disney movie, yeah, Atlantis.
So there's a good chance it's probably already in the works. Like
Disney is that is one of those ones that like has to be.
I'm sure.
Titan AE.
Didn't they just do something like that?
I don't know if they came up with a if they did, I don't remember seeing a like live action Titan AE. What is going on?
There's a lot of updates on the computer rocking right now. So I'm hoping that it doesn't go through the podcast, but if it does, people that are listening, are bad.
What was another one that's really close to that too?
Green Lantern should be rebooted and done in the right way, because that one with Ryan Reynolds is fucking atrocious.
Every DC movie needs to be
Not
rebooted.
every.
Well, they're coming out with the DCU, so like hopefully they do, right?
Well, no, I don't think they'll necessarily reboot everything. I think they're going to try to... Obviously, they're going to work on some characters that are the fan favorites, but then I think they want to dive into their pool of characters similar to like the MCU did. So I think we're going to see some new stuff more than necessarily full reboots. They are rebooting Superman. We've already got one rebooted.
Another one?
Yeah, but it's going to be done by James Gunn.
Man of Steel is like the best Superman movie that
I
you can
agree,
make.
although a lot of people don't like that movie, but
Really?
I love that movie. The only thing I don't like is the end, which I'm still upset
Because he
about
kills
the end.
Zod?
Yeah, in the first going. Like, fuck off. Like, that you need to send him to the Phantom Zone once, and then he comes back, and then he murders somebody you
This
love
Superman is smarter than all the other Superman. He's like, yeah, we can't leave him alive.
He struggled with it.
He is the Mace Windu of Superman. He's too powerful to be left alive.
No, it just doesn't make any sense. I just. But yes, I agree. He is too powerful to be left alive, but that's not the realization that you should make within. How long was he on the planet? A day? A week?
Oh, that was it. That's the movie that needs to be rebooted. Planet something.
Well, thanks, Mike.
Oh, what is it?
Planet of the Apes?
Not Space Planet. I don't know. It's an animated movie.
Oh God, you and
Animated
the
Disney
animated.
movie. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the reboots. The reboots. I mean, like reboot, like live action.
So
like
you
they
want
did with
a
like
live action remake? Okay.
yeah,
So I have movies
like
that were
movies
just
that would
bad.
be good live action or that are like animated movies that are really good. That would be really cool to see in live action.
See,
like I
so-
thought that the same
so-
thing was like not like the Jungle Book.
Yeah,
Everyone likes the Jungle Book, but seeing it live action was cool.
it was.
So
cool,
you'll
yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
I watched. What the hell is it? Aladdin.
Yeah.
Hated it,
Yeah. It wasn't good.
but I watched it because it was live action.
That doesn't mean
and-
that they should have been done though.
right, but you watched it because it was live action and it
Sure.
was different.
So I'll definitely say that I didn't watch it because it was different. I watched it because it was the same movie that I thought I loved as a child and was hoping that I would love the remake. So when they redid The Jungle Book, I loved The Jungle Book when I was a kid.
Right.
Same with Aladdin. Same with Lion King. Same
Right.
with all of those. And most of them didn't hold up. Some of them did, but most of them, at least for me, didn't. Even though they made a lot of money for Disney, which is why they keep doing it.
Oh, I'm sure.
So what's the movie that you were talking about?
Treasure Planet.
I've never heard of it.
All right, I'll give you the. So, at all? Anything?
Oh, I remember
So
seeing
there's like the
that
pirate guy, and they go through.
image, but I don't remember. I don't think I've ever seen it.
And then this is the Atlantis one. Hold up.
Yeah,
I
the
know you've
Atlantis
seen that
one.
one.
Yeah, I've seen that. Granted, that was a long time ago.
Right. But again, those would be the kind of movies that like they could reboot and change a little bit
Yeah.
because
Or change a
when's
lot.
the last time you saw it that you would notice the little
I
similarities?
would notice nothing.
You know what I mean?
don't
Like-
even remember the movie.
I'm 100% sure I've seen The Lion King animated 40 times.
Oh yeah, easily.
Same way with Little Mermaid.
Less on that one, but yeah.
I've seen it less, right?
Yeah.
But like you'll notice the little things.
Where's my Moana live action? Let's throw the rock
They
in there.
just did that one.
I
though.
know, but it was a great movie.
Yeah, Moana was a good one.
Yeah.
I want to see a live action the big crab thing.
Oh, from the movie.
Yeah.
It'd be
Dude,
hilarious.
so that voice always reminds me of
it's the guy from Flight of the
Tawatiti or whatever.
from Thor, the guy who did the director of that.
Yeah, he also does the
Krog, or-
voice for IG-11 on Mandalorian.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
We're talking about the same guy, right?
Tawatiti.
Yeah, the guy who directed Thor, Ragnarok, and Thor: Love
Yeah.
and Thunder that
Yeah.
does the voice of Korg or whatever.
Korg, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that was him that did that. Okay.
The voice of IG-11. But I thought he was the voice of the crab thing.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the
There's
voice
like
of the
two
crab.
actors that I always get mixed
It's
up.
the guy from Flight of the Conchords, I think, or at least that's
God,
the
now we
guy
gotta
that
look
I'm
it up.
thinking of. While you look that up, I'm gonna bring up movies that I thought would be good, but it's for different than what you're thinking.
Crab.
You're thinking of it as,
Moana.
hey, this movie was
Jermaine Clement. Okay, so Jermaine Clement is also the same guy that voices something from. He's on
isn't it Rick and Morty?
Legion.
Yes,
He's the actor from
Yeah.
Legion.
I think he's also does.
So
the
I
voice
always get him mixed up with
of the
Taiwan.
cloud on Rick and Morty. That cloud that Morty has to eventually kill. It always does that singing.
Jermaine Clement.
I am pretty sure that's the same voice as the cloud from Rick and Morty.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But they have that very like Australian accent.
Yeah.
Which I always get mixed up.
Yeah.
Because they both voice act.
Makes sense.
They all sound the same.
So yeah, for me, it's not about necessarily like an animated movie that then could be turned into live action. I think of a movie that was crappy that could be better done by like a different director, different story. So we look at what they did with that Daredevil movie, which sucked with Ben Affleck. It was terrible. And then we look what they did with the TV series of Daredevil, and it was phenomenal, the Netflix version.
So I always feel like if you're going to flesh out something more with the series than you ever can with a movie, though. That's the problem.
course.
Like, if you're gonna reboot something from like a movie into a series, that's not fair to the movie, though. Granted, the movie was not good.
Yeah, but they didn't do that though. What happened was obviously they did a Daredevil movie. It was shit, and then years and years later they rebooted it in the MCU-ish and did the Daredevil TV show.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, if they did a Daredevil movie in the MCU, I'd be all about it because it would be under Kevin Feige right now, and it could be a really good movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was looking at. Like, did you ever watch Aragon or read the books?
The Dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing a TV series of it now. The Disney Plus is supposed to be doing eventually.
That is.
But I enjoyed the first movie. It wasn't amazing, but I enjoyed it. And then they scrapped it because they were supposed to be. Because what are there 3, 4, 5 books of those? They were supposed to be doing more movies of it, but the movie bombed in theaters, so they didn't do it.
Yeah, I can't remember reading any of the books at all.
I was gonna say if you read a movie, that'd be interesting.
You can.
I know, but that's it. It's really weird if you ever looked at a script, how it's written. It's disjointed for reading, for the pleasure of reading. Like if you're reading a book, reading a script is completely different.
Right.
And I've always found that
weird.
weird.
It depends on what it is too. If it's anime, you can read the subtitles, and the subtitles don't even match up to what they're saying because the people will say something different in English, but it means something different in Japanese.
Yep. All right. So I think I had one other. No. Oh, well, my other one was one we already talked about, which was you said Spawn.
Spawn's badass.
So let's talk before we talk about movies that should be,
Well, I got one that I think should be rebooted. I think should be rebooted.
Should be? All right, what do we got?
Escape from L.A.
Yeah, that's
So it was a cool movie.
Yeah.
And
do you really want to reboot it though?
I think it's a cool storyline.
Yeah.
And I think that if you made it modern and a little bit like gritty, it would be really good to watch because it's a movie that older generations have seen but don't really remember. Like you could watch it today and not remember everything that happens, so you're still kind of like captivated by what's going on in the movie, and you can make it better because it's not as like cringy and cliche as it was in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Like keep in mind that movie's like 30 years old now.
Yeah, to be fair, so are we.
You know, Snake
mid 30s. But yeah, it's
Snake
hard when I
Ripken
like
or something.
When I like a movie, it's hard for me to think about them rebooting it. Like at a certain point, I just want them to leave it the fuck alone. But there are movies where, so I guess let's get on that. Movies that have been rebooted in a good way, like that you were happy that they got rebooted, and that you were happy like it's a good movie. So like Ocean's 11 is one of them.
Dread.
Dread is on my list too. Even though like I didn't really like either Dreads.
Yeah.
But
it was cool to watch.
It wasn't
and
bad,
it was fucking gory.
Was it Carl Urban, right?
Yeah, Carl Urban.
Yeah. From The Boys and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, it was such a good movie.
Oh, I just rewatched Chronicles of Riddick, and I forgot that he was in that.
I watched that today.
Did you watch? I literally watched it yesterday.
Yeah, he's like the prince or whatever.
Yeah, he basically
the
like
Necromongers.
second in command or whatever for the Necromongers. But yeah, I ran through that whole series: Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and then Riddick.
That's another movie that should not be rebooted.
And it could be rebooted, but it should be done
continuance.
I would rather have a continuance.
Right.
So it's so funny to me because when I
still think it's good. Like I watch it today, and it holds up.
Oh yeah, I just watched it.
The CGI again
it could be better.
Could be remastered.
But I feel like you could say that about any movie because if it happened in the last 10, 20,
That's
30
fine.
years.
I'm so okay with remastering movies.
Remastering, yes.
Like
not
they
rebooting.
remastered Star Wars and they added in some like scenes like the Mos Eisley spaceport, like the ships taking off and everything.
But it didn't really add anything to the movie.
It made it a little nicer.
Yeah, made it nicer, but it didn't change anything in the actual movie.
You polished it up a little bit.
Yeah, you're polishing it up, but if it's already been released and it's already made the money and it already has the fans, what's the point?
You get a remastered version of the DVD and people buy it again.
Yes, it's a cash grab. I get it.
All movies are cash grabs. Let's be fucking serious. Nobody makes movies like, you know what? I don't really want to make any movie on this. I just want to. I want people to know my story.
Those are like the independent movies where they just want to tell a story.
Yeah, they're called poor people. That's what independent movies are.
Too funny. But yeah, so yeah, Dread was on my list too. That was a good one. So was Ocean's 11, which was a reboot. I've also got The Jungle Book, which was a good one.
Isn't Italian Job a reboot?
I don't know.
Isn't there like an old ass Italian Job
that sounds
with like
right
really
to me.
old minis?
That sounds right to me, but I honestly don't know. I didn't look it up.
I think it is.
Although I did really enjoy that movie.
I love the Italian Job.
Yeah. Edward Norton's great.
Gone in 60 Seconds. Also a reboot.
Is it?
It is.
Huh.
The original Eleanor is like old, like an old ass car.
All right.
Although the new Eleanor is an old car, but it's completely redone.
True Grit. I don't know if you saw True Grit.
Nope.
The newest one. It is the Big Lebowski guy. Can't remember it. Jeff Bridges. Plays like it's a Western, but it's great. It's really good. Dawn of the Dead was a reboot. That isn't as good as the original, but it's still really great.
Dawn of the Dead.
Where they're in the shopping, like they're zombies happen, and then they end up in this big shopping mall.
Of Shaun of the Dead.
That's also a good one. That's not a reboot, but it's great.
I know. Another movie, don't reboot.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of comedies are not good reboots.
Well, it's because it's usually like the same jokes.
Right.
But like if you have a drama or action,
like how are you going to reboot Shaun of the Dead? However,
a sequel.
If they rebooted 28 Days Later...
no, just give me the fucking continuation.
28 years later.
It was supposed to be 28 days later, 28 weeks later. Then it was supposed to be 28 months. And then the months one never happened. And then potentially could do years afterwards. But 28 Days Later is a phenomenal movie that doesn't... Like, I felt like it got its recognition way back when, but then hasn't, because there's been so many other zombie movies and things in that genre, especially
it was
when The Walking Dead
it was like one
out.
of the original zombie movies.
No, it was not one of the original zombie movies. It was one of our original zombie movies
when
we were growing
before
up.
Walking Dead came out. Walking Dead is like
the
what
thing
people
that
staple
made
to zombie movies.
Yeah, well, The Walking
shows.
Dead it just put itself in the pop culture.
Right.
Like everybody
knows
about
I feel like 28
The
Days Later was like right around that same like time.
That was like 5 or 6 years before, at least, if not more. I'm pretty sure it was like early
like
2000s.
zombies are cool for a while. Vampires were cool.
Yeah.
Then Twilight came out and Underworld.
Yeah.
Werewolves came out. I wonder what's the next thing? We need to make Kraken cool again.
Dude, we've had superheroes being cool for like the last 15 years.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We need to find
different.
something. We need to make like Kraken cool again. Some deep sea monster.
Just so that it like matches up with your entire theme of your body and your house.
Love the Kraken.
So It, Chapter 1 and 2, great remake.
Yep.
Yeah, those were phenomenal. Those. And I still enjoyed the made-for-TV movies, but they weren't allowed to be that gory. They weren't allowed to be that scary.
Right.
Compared to actually releasing in the releasing the film in theaters and it having the R rating. But it's great. What's his face? I can't remember his damn name. The guy who plays Pennywise in the new one is phenomenal as Pennywise. His voice, his acting. Yes, Skarsgård. So Dune obviously got remade. I know a lot of people like this one better than the originals. A Star is Born.
If they make Chapter 2 of Dune good, I will like it. My problem I think I have is that they still have a lot of information that they haven't even delved into yet.
And it was still a long ass movie.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like the original Dune is long. And then there's Children of Dune, which is long. I mean, like they had 2 VHS movies and it's like 7 hours between the 2 movies. Like it's one of those ones like Titanic. Like you had like VHS 1 and VHS 2.
I remember watching the first half of Titanic one night, and then
it's just like intermission.
Like, it's too late. We'll watch the rest tomorrow. Like
the hell was gonna sink anyway. Fuck it. Watch it in reverse. That's really cool.
A Star is Born is also one that's been remade like 7 times, but I enjoyed this latest one with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Never saw it. It's more of like a drama.
Hard pass.
It's really good.
I'm not a Lady Gaga fan.
You cannot like. I'm not a Justin Timberlake music fan, but he's a really good actor.
He's my boy.
He's your boy. You got his number in your phone?
He was the first one to put a dick in a box.
I feel like Andy Samberg was. Actually, I just listened to an interview.
Who told who to put the dick in the box?
So I was just about to say that. So I just listened to an interview, and it actually was one of the other guys from Lonely Island when they were trying to come up with an idea for a sketch who was talking about doing the hole in the popcorn gag, like as a sketch that they were going to do for SNL. And then it slowly evolved to Dick in a Box.
Love it.
Yeah. Which is still like one of the best skits that they've done. And the fact that they just keep, or they used to, I don't know, I think it's been years at this point, but every chance that one of them is on SNL, usually you can get the other one on it.
Lonely Island has one of my favorite songs.
Well, Dick in a Box, Jizz in My Pants.
No. I'm on a boat.
Like a boat. Yeah, Like a Boss and I'm on a boat.
With T-Pain.
Yeah, T-Pain.
I fucking love that song.
That is a good one. That is a good one. I Just Had Sex is also a good one. That's with Akon.
I just had sex.
Yeah.
Akon.
Yeah.
They always get like the best rappers at the time to do it.
Hey, man. Well, it's usually when they come on. It was when they were doing like SNL.
Yeah, yeah.
So they'd give them, and they'd be like, "Hey, dude, we got this like stupid idea. Do you want to do it?"
Oh, they're all about it.
Oh, of course.
All about it.
Yeah, there's been a ton of them. Like at one point, excuse me, Jizz in My Pants was like the #1 rated YouTube video.
LOL.
Yeah. It's such a funny video.
Can't even
song.
type in "jizz in my pants" on the internet without having to listen to it. God.
All right. So now let's talk about movies that shouldn't have been rebooted that got rebooted.
Little Mermaid.
We don't know yet.
I don't care.
You don't know yet.
Don't even care.
Why?
I don't
Just because they turned her black?
That is the
then what's
least
the reason?
part of it.
What's the reason?
Because why do you need to?
Who cares? Who cares?
Lion King.
Was mediocre at best.
Aladdin.
Had its moments, but was mediocre at best.
I feel like they're going downhill quickly.
But Jungle Book was good. We talked about that.
One movie.
Haven't they redone something else that was good?
I feel like the ones that, like, if you get the VHS and it says classic at the bottom with the little black diamond, those are the ones you don't reboot, ever.
I mean, they're rebooting everything.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. You don't need to. Like, if it's literally a classic,
but it's
you don't
not.
reboot
That's
it.
their version of a classic. It's not like there's somebody out there that goes, "This is a classic," and this.
I'm telling you, there's a classic Disney Hall of Fame.
No, it's just them. They what it means for them. It's been so long since the movie is released, so it's a classic now.
Well, classic. Although, okay, I don't know how I feel about this one, but I'm going to watch it anyway.
What's that?
Winnie the Pooh.
The horror?
Yeah.
So that's not a reboot
Blood and Honey
or anything.
But it is, though, right?
It's not a reboot. It's a... Oh, God. What do I even want to call it? It's definitely... Like, there's nothing to reboot. There's never been, like, a Winnie the Pooh horror movie, and then this is a reboot of another horror movie or something.
But it's a Winnie the Pooh.
It's an original
They're
story.
making it specifically because Winnie the Pooh has hit its...
Yeah, mark, yeah.
It's copyright.
Yeah. Same with The Grinch is about to hit his.
Oh, yeah, and they're coming out with that one, too.
It might have already come out, actually.
That movie?
Yeah, I think it came out in December.
No.
Yeah. I think it's called The Mean One.
The Mean One.
Yeah, it looked...
I feel like it's coming out this year.
Maybe, but it looked terrible, but in a good way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're going to have to cover those. I think when we get towards Halloween next year, we're going to have to binge all of those movies if we haven't seen them before.
Scary movies?
Like horror reboots, movies that are bad but good. Again. Like, we already did one where we watched those terrible movies. We're going to have to do it again where we watch Blood and Honey. And Mean One. And I'm sure there'll be another because a lot of these things are moving away from their trademark copyright after 100 years.
Right.
It's also why, I don't know if you know
Winnie
this.
the Pooh really 100 years, 1930s?
Yeah, probably.
Holy
or
fuck.
1920s.
What happens when Batman hits its copyright?
I don't know. Well, if they keep doing, I don't. I literally, I've got no.
How does
answer
that
for you.
work? You just trademark something, and then after so long,
You have to keep trademarking it, but then eventually it
why
becomes
wouldn't you just
public
keep
domain.
trademarking Winnie the Pooh?
Well,
then?
I think at a certain point you're not allowed to. And what happened was, like, so Disney is going through this right now because the normal set for a copyright is supposed to be, like, let's say X amount of years. And then Disney lobbied the Senate to pass a law that basically let them extend it because Mickey Mouse was running out of copyright in early 2000s or the 90s or something.
Yeah, I was going to say,
then they were
Steamboat Willie was
extended.
like early 1900s.
Yes, but Steamboat Willie technically isn't Mickey Mouse. Like, it is, but it isn't.
That's original Mickey Mouse. Like, that was the first... Like,
But
that's like flipbook shit.
when they copyrighted Mickey Mouse, that's when it started being Mickey Mouse.
Gotcha.
And then they kept extending it and then getting Congress to pass shit so that they could keep extending it. Now that's done. So they're actually going to be moving away from Mickey Mouse being the mascot of Disney, and now it's going to move to Figment of your imagination from... I don't even know if he's from anything. There's a ride there. Figment.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a ride there at Disney.
It's like a dragon.
Yes, it is a dragon.
Yeah.
The ride does not hold up, by the way. I went on it when I was a kid, loved it. Went again in December.
That was
fucking
also a
awful.
figment. It was being fun. Was a figment.
It was a figment of my imagination.
Nice.
I used to love that shit. I remember buying the doll and having it. Like,
yeah, I remember my sister had that because that's what it reminded me. She had the little.
But now that's going to be the
animal.
mascot, no more Mickey, because they can't copyright Mickey anymore.
Well,
like,
they're gonna have to
anybody's
do some,
allowed to.
They're gonna have to do some serious remodel into Disney World.
They are.
Holy shit!
Yeah, they're gonna change all the little logos from Mickey to
The
Figment.
dragon.
Yeah.
That's cooler anyway.
Well, what I think they should have done was just create a brand new character, because then you could have it for another 100 years rather than Figment, who's already been copyrighted. So you only get him for another 10, 20, 30, however long they're going to have it for.
Oh, I think he's 70s. So they'll have that for a while.
Yeah, but either way, like, why wouldn't you just fuck it? If you have to do it anyway, why not create something new?
Right.
And even like crowdsource people and be like, hey, what should our new mascot be?
I feel like not very many people are going to crowdsource or outsource Mickey Mouse though. Like even after
people do it now though. Like right now, people can illegally put Mickey Mouse on like a shirt and sell it, and they're not technically allowed to do that legally because it's not public domain yet.
Right.
So when people are doing that, they're one, it's illegal. Two,
so I can make an Eeyore t-shirt legally right now.
I don't know if I assume Eeyore is part of the same public domain as Disney, as Winnie the Pooh, but
right.
Yes, you could do that without any chance of getting sued
right now.
You can have at it.
Well, okay.
All right, so I have some other movies that were bad, that shouldn't have been rebooted, because the reboot was terrible. Flatliners. I don't know if you remember seeing the original with Kevin Bacon way back in the day. And then the newest one was just bad. So bad. Corey and I saw it in theaters. It was bad. Point Break? Point Break remake was god-awful.
Was the first one with Keanu?
That is the original.
Okay. Yes. I haven't seen the second. I guess I haven't seen the reboot.
The reboot, don't. It's bad. Just keep the original. Original's great. A Nightmare on Elm Street, which was them trying to reboot the franchise compared to Nightmare on Elm Street that was done in like the 80s and 90s.
Was Englund in it? Robert Englund?
I don't remember if he was Freddy in this one or not. I feel like it was somebody else that was taking over the mantle for him, but with obviously his blessing and all that stuff.
And it was terrible?
Yeah, it just wasn't fun. It wasn't that exciting. It wasn't that horror. Like, compared to, like, the first one. If you go back and rewatch the first one, especially if you can remember being a kid watching it, like, you were very terrified of everything going on. The Mummy. Like, I loved the first two Mummies with Brendan Fraser. Like, I love those movies. You've seen The Mummy, haven't you?
Yeah, then they rebooted it with
Tom Cruise.
And
it was fucking atrocious.
It was bad.
That was them
trying to do two different movies at once, though.
Well, they were trying to do the Dark Universe. Like, they were trying to, because the MCU got so popular with all these movies that were in the same universe,
right?
They were trying to do it with the Monster Universe or the Dark Universe.
Wasn't there, like, vampires in it, too, or something?
I don't think there was vampires in The Mummy, but they were going to be setting up That Invisible Man movie, which they still did the movie, but it wasn't part of the same universe. There was that one, and they were supposed to be.
Although the Invisible Man with Kevin Bacon was good.
Yes,
I think that was a remake of the old Invisible Man movie.
And then there was another reboot after that with the girl from
Swamp Thing would be a good reboot.
I think Swamp Thing was supposed to be in this dark universe, but they scrapped it because of how bad these other movies did.
Yeah.
So
I guess there probably wouldn't be enough content for a movie.
Probably not.
Not
a
Swamp
good one.
Thing comes out. That's it.
Red Dawn. I love the original Red Dawn movie where the Soviets invade and the reboot sucked.
I didn't mind the reboot. It definitely wasn't as good as the first one, for sure. I really liked the first one.
Wicker Man.
Nope.
You didn't see it?
Didn't see either one.
Well, so the reboot version is the one with Nicolas Cage where he gets a cage full of bees put on his head, and there's always those pictures and memes of the bees. Nothing really?
Not at all.
God.
Hey, talking about that, have you seen Candyman?
I haven't seen the reboot yet.
Okay.
But I've heard that it's just as good, if not better, than the original.
Okay, so that would be one that we could...
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so it's hard. So it's not on my list.
Okay.
I
haven't
need to
seen
see
it
it
either.
Yeah.
But I've seen
Again,
the first one.
maybe we'll wait for fucking
Candyman?
November. Jesus, yeah.
What if
the
they
month
reboot
after
Saw?
Halloween? No, fuck that. Do not reboot Saw.
That wasn't on your list.
They're doing another movie.
What?
They're doing another movie in this October.
I almost watched Spiral the other day.
It's great.
Is it?
No.
Ah.
It's
You
pretty
should've just
good
left
though.
me at okay.
It's pretty good. Like
I've seen all the other Saw movies. This is the only Saw movie I haven't watched.
you've seen there's Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Saw 5, Saw 6, Saw 7, which is Saw 3D. Then there's a movie called Jigsaw.
I saw Jigsaw.
And then
the
Jigsaw,
Spiral,
and then
yeah.
Spiral, yeah. And now there's another movie coming out
I
this
don't
October.
even think I've seen Saw 3D. If that's Saw 7, I
Saw
haven't seen
7.
that one either.
Yeah. Saw 7 is Saw 3D.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah. That's meh.
Okay, that's probably why.
Yeah.
But I definitely saw Jigsaw, but I haven't seen Spiral.
Okay. Spiral's not bad. It's on like streaming services.
I know. I was going to watch it the other day, but we ended up watching Creed 1 and 2 instead.
Which are good.
Wicked good.
I know. You and Corey gave me shit because I wanted to go see Creed 3.
Well, again, I hadn't seen Creed 1 and 2 yet, so it's hard to be like, oh, you want to watch a movie? We're going to start it out with Star Wars. Here's part 3.
Well, you do technically start
I
at
know,
part
that's
4.
what I'm saying. Like, let's do it like Star Wars. Here's part 3.
But yeah, it's great movies. Like especially, but it goes with the Rocky movies
I know.
too. Like,
well, obviously, Rocky's who trains him.
yes, but that's my point. Like, so it's a continuation, yet it's also a reboot.
Right.
Yeah, and it's great.
I like that.
Yeah, because
That's what I'm saying,
you get the original.
I don't love reboots unless the movie is animated and or something that's like wasn't well received at the time, but like if you reboot it, it could be really good.
Yep.
Like, I know some people are going to hate me about this, but I think The Crow could be a really good reboot.
It could be a good reboot, but it's also one of those. Do you want
Cult classic movies
Yeah.
that people would be
But they've
pissed
tried.
that you
I feel like
rebooted.
they've tried to reboot it.
The Crow?
Yeah.
I think they're coming out with a reboot.
Yeah, it's just, is it going to be good?
No,
Like, it's going to be really hard to capture the.
It did terrible in the box office,
Sure.
but it
would
sold
yeah.
hundreds of thousands of copies after that.
Fight Club. Terrible in the theater. A cult classic after the fact.
I haven't seen Fight Club.
The fuck is wrong with you? You walk by my Fight Club 8 posters every time we go to this
I know.
podcast.
It's just one of those movies that people are like, oh, you don't talk about Fight Club. That's rule number 1. It just makes you not want
It's
to watch
also rule
it.
number 2. It's
Yeah,
both of the rules.
That's fine. I don't watch. I don't like movies.
We're
that
gonna
people
start
are like,
having
you need to
movie
watch
nights.
this movie.
Jesus. All right, so I've also got
I watch movies on my own time. Thank you.
Footloose. I love the original with Kevin Bacon, and the new
Ugh.
one sucked. Total Recall with Arnold. The first one was great, and then the reboot with Colin Farrell sucked.
I did not watch the second one.
The Karate Kid, like the originals, were great, and the reboot with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith
Smith, yeah.
sucked. Like, just
I
leave that shit
didn't
alone.
hate that one. I thought it was okay.
Ugh.
Again, not as good as the original. I agree with that. But again, Karate Kid is one of those movies that holds up to the test of time. It doesn't really have like a time-based thing. If you watched it today, it's just like Homeward Bound, another movie.
Pretty sure that's a reboot.
Homeward Bound?
Yeah.
No, like the original Homeward Bound.
Yeah, I think that's a reboot from a story from years before that in the 70s or 80s. You're talking about the 90s movie with the two dogs and the cat.
Cat, dog, and cat. That's a reboot?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Well, then they did it right.
Yeah, they did do it right. It's a phenomenal movie, the first one. You got Shadow, Chance, and I don't remember the cat's name. But Shadow was the old dog. Yep. Chance was the younger. Chance is actually voiced by Michael J. Fox. And the cat, oh, damn it, I had it, but now I can't remember who the voice of the cat. But the first one's great. The second one's not bad either.
And I just had a thought. Another movie that would be cool if they redid it, All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh, God, I cried like a bitch in that movie, like when I was a kid.
That's what I'm saying. Can you imagine seeing it in real life?
A bitch. No. I put my dog down last year. I don't want to cry again.
I'm not going to watch that movie ever.
Dude, that's one of those movies, like, at least for me, where if I'm going to go see a movie and I know a dog's going to potentially, like, be the main thing and you're going to die.
I'm going to go get a snack.
Did you already see Marley and Me? With Owen Wilson?
Yes, yep.
Oh, I cried my eyes out like a little bitch. I have no problem admitting it. Like, I can see other people. I can see people die. I can see somebody lose their kid, like in a movie. I can see all that other shit, and I won't blink.
What was the other movie that I saw that was like animals? It was kind of like something in Otis. Milo and Otis.
Milo and Otis, yeah.
So in Milo and Otis, there's a scene where a cat gets hurled off a cliff, right? Like, have you remember seeing that?
I don't remember.
Dude, it looks like they took a real cat and hucked it off a cliff.
I will tell you, if they did that, PETA would be up in arms.
This is like old. Like, I think Milo and Otis is like early 90s movies.
I'm sure there's probably something at the end of the film somewhere in the credits.
I don't think there was a PETA back then.
No fucking.
But I remember like watching the movie and be like, yo, I think a real cat just got hurled off that cliff. Like, there's no way.
Maybe it was that cat's last wishes. You don't know.
It was like into like the ocean. Like, the cat gets like hurled off a cliff into the ocean. I'm telling you, I'll pull up the scene later and you're going to be like, oh, fuck. I don't know how they did that. Because it's not CGI.
Could be CGI.
And you just see the cat and the cat is going nuts.
Yeah. There was a lot of practical effects back then, which weren't effects. They were just real.
Yeah, exactly. That was real practical. They fucking hated that cat. That was the cat that just kept coming around the set and like, you know what? You want to be an extra in our movie? Stunt double. Yeet.
So yeah, well, we've been talking now for a while, and obviously it kind of annoys me that Hollywood likes to reboot rather than kind of just figuring out new stories. But then, as you've said, there are some stories out there that have an interesting idea and premise that if somebody could tell it in a different way and with better potentially like CGI and technology, where it could be a phenomenal story that could like make a lot of money and potential sequels and all this other stuff.
Right. There's so many movies out there that, especially like in the 80s when people didn't have a lot of access to technology, like I can imagine that not a lot of people had VCRs and whatnot. Like, I know it sounds weird, like, but I'm assuming that not as many people watched as many movies in the 80s as they do today because it's not instant technology. There was no internet. You couldn't pirate things.
I mean, what you're saying there is basically fact.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's gotta be movies that were probably good, had a good story that kind of slipped through the cracks that they could easily reboot and people wouldn't even know. Like, I didn't know Homeward Bound was a reboot.
Right.
You could have told me like that's a fresh story and I'll completely believe you.
What I think happened though is for those movies that slip between the cracks that you're talking about, that means that movie didn't make money. So studios look at a movie and it made, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Like, is the question did it not make money because of when it was produced or the story? Like, that's what they need to do.
If you're going to put your money on the line for it, would you rather reboot a movie that made money last time, or would you rather reboot a movie that you didn't make money last time?
Right, but
regardless of the reason why it didn't make money, which one would you rather do? And I feel like the studios
There's
are
got to
leaning
be
towards
people
the other
that can see a good script and be like, yeah, this will make money. I mean, who looked at the script to Hollywood Chihuahua and was like, you know what? This one's going to make money.
It did make money.
I know.
It shouldn't have.
It's dig right.
It is bad.
Someone's like, talking Chihuahua.
Well, I feel like that was right after the whole Taco Bell talking Chihuahua thing. So
Was it?
Yeah, so it like
And it's
swept
got,
the world.
you got What's His Nuts as the voice actor for it.
No, I don't know.
The comedian.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah, he's like the Mexican comedian.
Carlos Mencia.
Mencia, yeah.
Yeah, fucking joke stealing.
The Chihuahua.
Ugh. All right, so let's do final thoughts on reboots, even though we've kind of done it a little bit.
Is that all the reboots we have time for?
I mean, we're 55 minutes into this thing.
Good lord.
Yeah, no, it flies when you're not having to argue with Corey.
As long as we don't have to reboot this podcast.
No, I feel like as soon as this podcast's over, we reboot it.
Yikes.
Yeah, I think that'll go really well for our listeners.
I mean, by the sounds of it, in October, we're going to be rebooting the Halloween reboot of the Reboot special.
That's true. We are going to do that. We're going to watch some terrible movies again.
Well, good movies.
Good and terrible?
Well, we don't know. Blood and
That's
Honey,
fair.
man. What if it's fucking good?
I have a feeling it's not.
I agree with you, but you never know.
Just like the mean one. I have a feeling it's not. But I'm going to watch it.
I had a high hopes for Krampus, and that was not good either.
Trying to remember.
Krampus?
Krampus, but I feel like I saw the...
That's so bad.
Doesn't it end with him putting them in his sack?
Oh, yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
Kills everyone.
Well, no. Doesn't he keep them? Like, maybe I'm thinking of a different one.
He, like, goes all around the fucking house killing people.
Well, I know he does that, and then eventually he, like, stores them in his sack, I thought. Or in a snow globe.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
He hides all the shit in the snow globes.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's bad.
I didn't mind parts of it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind parts of it. I will say most horror movies are bad, though.
True.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Like, it's very hard to stick a horror movie. Although I did just watch Scream 6. I loved it, but I'm a huge Scream...
6?
Yeah, I'm a huge Scream fan.
Holy fuck.
1 through 5 is all on Paramount. They're great. I just rewatched those like a week or two ago to get ready for
I
6.
give up after like the third movie. Like I feel like every movie after the third movie can't be good.
No, like so the first 2 are good. The third one
Usually
is
the
bad.
second one
third
is
one
not
is
good.
bad. Fourth one is like a reboot / continuation, and then so
no
is the
pun
fifth
intended.
one. And so is the fifth one.
They're all slash.
But it's just, yeah, I don't know. I've always been a huge Scream fan. I love the meta parts of it, and I love the twists that I didn't see coming. But enough about Scream and horror movies. So, reboots. We like them, but we also don't like them.
I like the idea of reboots if they're done right, but I also hate the idea of rebooting movies that were done right to begin with.
Yeah. But
and again, I feel like classics, like you don't need to do it. It's a money grab, and that's it.
But
some movies
that's what
are,
it is.
like I said, I still think like Atlantis, Treasure Planet, like
so
movies
again,
that
I
people
think your
don't
animated
remember.
movies, I think, will probably eventually get that treatment.
Maybe.
Yeah, most likely. They're still making tons of
Iron
money.
Giant.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
You know what I
That
mean?
would be a good one.
Yeah, it'd be so fucking cool.
Yeah, especially with today's
Flight of the
technology.
Navigator, I think, would be cool reboot.
Yeah. They just did Chip and Dale Disney movie, which is like mixing animated with real life,
Yeah,
similar
I
to
saw
like
that My
Who
kids
Framed
liked it.
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah,
I've heard people loved.
yeah, my kids
loved
liked it.
it.
I was, but it's got that quirky Disney-ness.
That's basically what Disney does.
Yeah, some of it. Like again, I think like Atlantis is going to be like an action movie,
Could be.
like
Or it could bomb.
Jumanji.
Could bomb horribly. I loved the first Jumanji, by the way. Loved it.
Me
They
too.
should leave that alone. They did the
Well, they-
continuation.
Right, I was going to say they made the
Which
second
was-
one.
Fine.
It was okay.
Yeah. But they still left the first one still intact. Like it's just a continuation. That's fine. Do whatever.
Go nuts.
Yeah. All right, so next week we are going to try for the third fucking time to do The Last of Us.
Time.
Yeah, the final time? I don't know.
The last time.
The last time. For The Last of Us. Hopefully with Corey back in the podcast studio.
You're going to have to watch The Last of Us again to remember.
Just to remember everything?
By next week.
Well, I'm hoping. Corey was talking about playing the game. Like, trying to beat at least the first game. I don't even know if he's picked it up since then.
He always plays Apex Legends.
I know, it's constant unless we're playing Outriders or something, which isn't that often.
I know, we need to play that together. That was fun. I had a lot of fun last night.
Yeah, it was a good time. All right, anyway,
all new gear now.
I know.
My dude's a badass.
I mean, he doesn't look like one, but
no, he's a badass. Those helmets are dope.
All right, next week, Last of Us.
Peace.